So, now it's time for our Wanna See It. Last week's big release, I think a bit of a surprise, number one, Obsessed. Just,
Well, it's people like Irene that, you know...
Right. I have no
Pay
interest
for
in
this
seeing it.
crap.
I think Beyonce's not that great of an actress, but a lot of people went and saw it, and it got the number one spot, but we know
It made
that
like
won't
28 million or something. It was
right,
a ridiculous amount of money.
Soloist, which you saw, and I think we're a little disappointed with.
Well, it was a good movie overall.
Let me ask you this. When they moved it from the Oscar season to this date, we were a little surprised, but now do you get why they were trying to get it out of the way of all those Oscar movies?
Yeah, it wouldn't have had no... I think Robert Downey Jr. has a chance. I think that's one of the reasons why they did it, because they knew he would be a lock for Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
But that this is kind of a chance.
Okay.
So they didn't want to have him, you know...
And Fighting, which nobody really saw.
It made more money than The Soloist, which is
probably
sad.
will be out on DVD in about, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So.
poor Terrence Howard.
This week, there are pretty much 2 big movies and 1 little smaller one. So, first, Battle for Terror. That's what it's, Battle for Terror. It's an animated film.
It's in 3D, I do believe.
Really strong voice cast. Brian Cox, Mark Hamill, Rosanna Arquette, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Do you know what the storyline is for
It's
this?
humans on some alien planet, and there's a war, and aliens do something, and then the humans do something, and then something flies through the screen in your face like it's in 3D.
Detailed synopsis.
Yeah, and, it'll make as much money as, like, Delgo made, so...
Right. And Ghosts of Girlfriend Past, it's sort of counter-programming here, because you've got Wolverine, which is obviously the big release of the weekend, and everybody's going to go see that. But then I think that releasing an obvious romantic comedy movie for women, Ghosts of Girlfriend Past, Matthew McConaughey is a player who gets led through all his past girlfriends so he can figure out what it takes to be with his true love, Jennifer Garner.
I can understand that.
It looks like a cute romantic comedy. I know my mom wants to go see it. And so it's great counter-programming to Wolverine, of course, which is what everybody's talking about.
Well, yeah, but do you think that... Here's a good question. Do you think that women will want to see Wolverine more than... I mean, because I've already talked to a few women that are, like, excited to see Wolverine. He is the sexiest man alive, after all.
Well, yes, that's true. He is. And it's not necessarily one of those action movies that's just geared towards guys.
Yeah.
I think it has a wide demographic. So maybe a lot of people will go see Wolverine Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday matinees for Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. But I think it's a good balance.
Okay, well... We'll see. I think there's no doubt of what's going to be the #1 movie come next week.
It's really just a question of how much.
How much do you think it's going to make?
I'm looking at the $60 million range.
I'm going to go for 75, just to...
Okay.
I would say 61, just to do a Price is Right screw with you, but...
Fine, $1. $1.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 75. I don't think it'll make 100. I don't think it's... I think enough people bootlegged it where they won't want to see it again, but I think that it wasn't bootlegged enough that it will make a difference. So, in news this week, I think the big thing, especially with Wolverine coming out, is Free Comic Book Day.
Saturday, May 2nd.
Which it usually corresponds to the big comic book movie that comes out. What it is all the companies come together and they put out a comic book that'll kind of pique the interest. Hopefully that'll make people want to invest more money in the future in comics. So I have a little list of what they're going to be releasing. Marvel has an Avengers book with Thor, and I think they're pushing like Thor and Iron Man and Captain America kind of out to the front just to catch people for next year.
Of course.
They're going to have a Simpsons one. Disney has having a Cars one. They have Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Aliens vs. Predator. They're actually reprinting the first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
It came out 25 years ago.
Wow.
Which makes me feel old.
Yeah. Really old.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is DC Comics is putting out Blackest Night, which, a little background on that, well, that's tied into that, is the whole Green Lantern saga. Jeff Johns right now is really writing the crap out of Green Lantern. He's doing like this amazing job. And so what Blackest Night is that we found out that there are more than one type of colored lantern.
Yeah.
You know, so we have the Green Lanterns, and so they found out that there's an emotional spectrum, they'll call it, and each emotion sort of has a color with it. So their main enemies are the Sinestro Corps, which are yellow, and their whole thing is fear, so they feed on fear, just like the Green Lantern Corps are on willpower. And so then we found out that there's an orange lantern, and that is orange is greed. That's why if you tell on the cover, he's sort of like, you know, holding on to his lantern because he doesn't want. I think all they say is mine. They just go around saying mine, mine, mine.
Really?
Yeah. So that's cool. They have the blue lantern, of course, which for hope. Red for rage. Indigo is his compassion, which I was saying is probably the worst power to have. Second to that little kid on Captain Planet who had heart.
Compassion.
Yeah, it's like. There's a big wildfire, what are you going to do? And he's like, heart.
Yeah.
And I don't know how heart puts the fire out, but, so anyway, and then the violet lanterns are love, which are the star sapphires, and then the black lanterns are death. So that's what Blackest Night, and what it is it's zombies. So every hero that has died, or every bad guy that has died in DC Comics, is a potential to come back as... So there's like a Superman that died, Martian Manhunter.
Wow.
So they're all going to come back as bad guys. And the whole reason for the black is apparently it represents a total lack of emotion. So it's the complete other side of the spectrum. So
I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be very confusing if you haven't been following it. Like the comic I gave you, Rebirth, kind of starts it. They talk about the green and the yellow and how that starts. And then this one that I bought at the bookstore this morning starts with the orange lanterns. Okay. In other news...
you know, one of the most classic movies I think that Oliver Stone ever did was Wall Street. Michael Douglas won an Oscar for playing Gordon Gekko. And news came out this week that they are going to make a Wall Street 2. It seems a little odd that it's like 20 years later, but in the current climate... I guess it could be, you know...
I get it, but it's, you know, they're just trying to cash in on the current economic situation, which...
I've heard this movie has been in the works for a while, so I don't think they're necessarily just trying to cash in on the current climate, but it does seem very timely. The real thing is that I guess Shia LaBeouf is in talks to be the young you know, financial prodigy versus Michael Douglas.
Why does he have to be in every freaking movie? Like, every time I go to the theater, it's like, Shia LaBeouf starring in this.
And I'm starting to feel like maybe I did something to Shia LaBeouf at one point, because he seems to be on a quest to ruin everything that I have loved in my childhood, my teenage years. Here comes Shia LaBeouf to do a remake of it and mess it up.
If he makes Thundercats, I might have to punch someone. If I see him trying to be Lion-O or, you know, something, someone's going to die.
You know, I'm a little surprised he's not in the G.I. Joe movie.
Oh, I know. Why isn't he Cobra Commander and screw that up while he's at it?
But yeah, Wall Street 2, they announced that it's official, so that'll probably be out later in the new year, next year.
So another sequel of sorts that they're doing, which is fun because I actually kind of encountered this a few days ago, is Roger Rabbit 2.
Yeah, Robert Zemeckis has confirmed that he's really interested in looking at doing a Roger Rabbit because he thinks the technology with the motion capture and digital photography, all that stuff, he's really interested in doing a part 2. I don't know if it'll work because one of the best things about Roger Rabbit was getting to see all of your favorite cartoon characters interact with each other in a way that you'll never see Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny on screen together. You just the companies will never be able to agree enough to make that happen again. So I don't see it being that, but...
Well, I think the thing to remember is, at the time, that movie was total groundbreaking.
So far ahead of its time.
So if he could do that again, I think that would work. But he's really, like, Robert Zemeckis is really trying this new technology. You know, he did it with the Polar Express and Beowulf, and he's doing it with the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
So at least I think if nothing else...
He knows how to do it.
Yeah, if nothing else, it'll be interesting. It'll be very expensive. It's going to be probably one of the most expensive movies ever made, so there's that.